Hey guys, Chad back with you here on the RC Models and More channel, and just had a great weekend flying at our RC flying the Martian 220 tribute build that I named it in honor of JC Project Blue Falcon. I followed a lot of his videos, you know. He was a great member of the community that we lost. And I have one problem going on with it that I wish I could really ask him about, but we'll get to that later on. So anyway, this is just the overall build. I put a video out about this earlier, but I wanted to just kind of dive in to the specs and show you some video on it, because I'm pretty proud of how it flew, and I'm pretty proud of the progression that I've made looking back at last year's fun fly, when I was just doing loops and rolls and struggling around in acro, versus this year flying around and through all of these guys doing their 3D moves and their big planes and everything like that, and getting some really cool footage, very smooth footage in my opinion. So let's take a look at what's under the hood of my tribute Martian. Alright, first thing on top here, guys, got the Brain 3D adjustable printed mount, which is awesome. It will adjust and go up based on what kind of camera angle you're looking for your session. So I highly recommend that. I'm running a Pagoda Menace RC antenna just because I needed a couple new antennas. I wanted to try it out, and I'm having no complaints with that at all. Now, the way I built the Martian is I built it basically so I can just really just take the top plate off and not have anything mounted to it at all. I can actually unscrew this back here and everything, and if we take a look, it is definitely one of the cleanest and tightest builds that I have made. It just looks messy because of the extra wires here. I didn't want to chop them all off just in case. I always wanted to leave a little bit of slack, but everything's soldered on there really good and everything. We'll start on the outside. Start with the camera. I'm running Runcam Swift Mini, and it comes with the cradle that you can add to it to go ahead and screw into the sides here of the Martian plates, so there's no issues with that. I'm running at about 20 degrees camera angle for freestyle and smoother video. It's kind of like a new trend that a lot of people are doing, and I think it worked out pretty nice for me. HQ 5x4 by 3 props, just because they're still my favorite prop, even though they break constantly. But if you don't crash, they don't break. And some people say if you're not crashing, you're not flying, but my pockets aren't that deep anymore, so I try to squeeze it out what I can. As far as the motors go, I am running the TBS Mr. Steel Silk motors. I've had these motors for since the beginning of the year when they came out. I bought quite a few of them. I have had some failures, but Trappy and TBS have taken care of me no problem by either offering me some replacements or offering me replacement discounts, which is pretty nice. So you got to give a thumbs up to them. ESC wise, I am running the same ESCs that JC put on his Martian, which are the ZTW, I believe they're 30 amp, and I'm running D-Shot 300 on them. I tried to run 600, but for some reason I cannot get 600 to run correctly on there. I'm not sure why. That's that question that I would ask him about. So we got 4 of those on there. I'm running a Betaflight F3 flight controller, which is pretty much my favorite one at the moment. It's got the all-in-one OSD and PDB design. It's really simple to wire up. Again, JC's videos were great as far as explaining how to wire everything up properly. A lot of the videos that he did on the Omnibus flight controller are pretty much the same as well. The only beef I have with it is the same beef that some people do, is that the SD card slot on the bottom makes it kind of inaccessible. It's soft mounted with O-rings and the M3 soft mount bobbins that he used in his videos that Ready Made RC sells, and that really helps out to turn off all of the filtering. I'm running a 1000 microfarad 35 volt low ESR capacitor on there. Probably don't even need it, but I just popped it on there anyway. And I'm using, you can't even see it because it's literally the size of my fingernail, but it's underneath here. There's an antenna right here. I'm running the FreeSky XM receiver, and it's the one with the single antenna, and it's just basically going right here through the power cable. I had no problems with any kind of lockouts or anything at all. It's just performs great. Probably the greatest performer, in my opinion, which is something that JC said he was going to get to on his channel, is running the TBS Unify Pro HV VTXs. If I didn't know any better between this and my LaForge video system, I would have been running HD this weekend. Just running it at 200 milliwatts, I had no video issues hardly at all. Just a little bit of static, and I'd show DVR footage, but it never does these things justice. But it's all hooked up with just the regular hookup that you would do for your flight controller, and then an extra UART port. You just have one wire running to that, and then it all pops up into the Betaflight OSD using the TBS Smart Audio, so you can change your channels, power, all that stuff just right there in the OSD. The Betaflight OSD is just really great to be able to tune and everything else like that. So it just is super duper. So I'll probably do maybe a video on this, maybe, as far as like how to set it up or whatever. There's lots of videos out there on them already, but definitely gonna be my go-to video transmitter from now on. So before I put up more footage here at the end, I just want to go ahead and talk to you a little bit more about how I'm changing around some things as far as flying and everything. One thing I noticed, flying out here in front of my house doing tuning and everything, is that it's a lot different when you're actually out somewhere flying in space and you have a lot more room to run off and do this and everything. And our field is pretty wide open. There's no trees or nothing like that to power loop around or nothing. So I was using planes and everything else as obstacles and all that. As far as my PID tuning, it's pretty much Betaflight averages. What you have to do right now with 3.17, y'all's pretty much, y'all is exactly a stock. P, I usually start at like 72, 73 and start dropping down from there. So I think I'm at 70. And roll, I usually bump roll up to 50 and start bringing it down from there. And I think I settled in at 44. And then D, I bumped up a couple on pitch and roll. And then as far as I goes, I is really all about your kind of feel, how much feel you want in there. So your combination of like I and your RC rate and your Super Expo, all that just kind of goes into the whole flow type of thing. I have my RC rates. I used to run my RC rates at like 1 and just try to do all these crazy flips and everything like that. And I don't really like that. You watch a lot of Johnny FPV and all these other guys now, and their stuff is so like smooth and fluid, and that's kind of the look that I'm going for. And the way to get there is just a lot of expo and a lot of rates, it seems like for me. It worked out a lot lower rates, I'm sorry. So I'm running 25% expo on yaw, 30 on roll and pitch. I have my RC rate down to 0.7 on roll and pitch and 0.75 on yaw. And I was doing a lot of like 360 yaw spins, inverted and regular, and they were just nice and smooth, and just working on throttle control coming out of them and everything like that. And lowering that RC rate and putting that expo in there gives you just a nice soft center stick that you don't have to worry about your quad just flipping back and forth and looking all herky-jerky and everything. And then my super rates at the end are about 0.78, I think. I'm somewhere around 780 revolutions per second on roll and pitch, and I think around 680 or 700, I'd have to look, on yaw. Filtering, all filtering is turned off. PT1 is enabled. I tested everything as JC recommended, and in his tuning videos and with the black box, so I had no problem with that. And that basically just comes down to having one of the with the D-shot, I guess, and just the combination of everything that just comes down to one of the best flying weekends that I ever had, and big smiles still on my face. I know there's some guys still out there flying right now. I'm half tempted to go out there and burn a couple packs tonight just yet, now that I have my lawn mowed and all that kind of good stuff. But here's some more video. Let me know what you think. If you got a second, go back and look at like last year's video that's called like Rat Fest 2016 or something, and some of the stuff I put in there was my FPV footage, and the video is kind of just horrible anyway, but you can see how I was just flying as fast as I can, do a roll, do a loop, whatever, and compare that to this year's. So thanks for checking everything out, and I'll let me know if you guys got any questions about any of the FPV stuff. I'd like to start adding a little bit more of it to the channel. But that's going to do it, guys. Enjoy the footage, and I'll see you guys later.